Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Waters Above. It's been a choppy past couple weeks in this market since I released my last video on May Day, May 1st, what some would call Beltane, and this date was in fact ritualized in the crypto market, with Bitcoin coming all the way down to 56,000 and ended up planting another daily candle close low in the horizontal trading range that we've been in for over 2 months now, going on almost 80 days. All the while, altcoins have been down and sideways with Bitcoin, and there's still no alt season in sight, as I warned about months ago, to not expect such a thing until Bitcoin goes into true price discovery, which it hasn't yet, even with all the Bitcoin ETF drama circulating. Remember, what runs this market is not the narratives. It's esoterica that runs this market. Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology run these markets. And some might think that things like yesterday's CPI data release or a Federal Reserve FOMC meeting or options contracts expiring is somehow driving the prices of assets naturally based on what the news or X tells you. But the reality is, those events are scripted into the blueprint of the year's astrology ahead. It's the astrology and numerology that the market maker is aware of, and they build their schedule around that. The same goes for the way astrology interacts with the people. The market maker knows the astrology in advance, and they weaponize that against you, to use your emotions against you, because they know most market participants are led by their emotions, and that most retail investors are easily distracted, which is what exactly is going on right now with GameStop, this GameStop ritual that's happening right now in front of our eyes. So in today's video, we're going to explore some of the key dates for the rest of this month of May to prepare for the next phase of this crypto bull run. I hope you've been taking advantage of the past couple months if you were someone looking to get exposure in this market, because we don't have too much longer before this run continues into true price discovery for the crypto market, and the true alt season is right around the corner. I've been warning for months that by late May into early June is usually as good as it gets for the buying opportunities, and here we are in May 16th, and when I tune into the Ethereum chart, you can see that the second biggest altcoin by market cap is still essentially down at supports, and about to touch on a critical moving average that we've been talking about for a while here. So most of these altcoins are actually in incredible buy opportunity territory. It's not financial advice. I'm just showing you what these charts are telling us. And most of the X coins are down at their macro supports as well. So we're here, family, and this is not a time to let this opportunity slip through your hands. July and August have been known to be incredibly bullish months during the election years. And when it comes to the astrology for Bitcoin, we're looking good for the entirety of 2024. So I hope you appreciated some of these investing words of wisdom. And remember, stay calm and keep your emotions on the sidelines. Stay focused on the opportunities in this market. Don't be a bull. Don't be a bear. Be a wolf and follow the moon. Now let's get into today's video. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out. And make sure to give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow our community. And with that being said, let's take the clear pill. So, what an interesting past couple of weeks it's been in this market. Big swings, but overall still ranging. And yesterday's CPI data for April was released, and it was right on target based on projections, and the market responded bullish. What a clown show. We'll continue to watch banks collapse as the market ranges, and ultimately, we'll continue to watch banks collapse as the market eventually rages into the biggest speculation run in history. And I just want you to know, what happens over the next 10 months will make the dot-com bubble look legitimate. Anyways, let's get into today's video. We should continue to pay attention to a very important number that I've been talking about here on this channel since February, and it is the number 49. So again, here we're talking a lot about numerology, the significance of the numbers and the energy attached to them, and how things that happen in the world stage, on the world stage, are revealing code to us, and we could utilize that code as decoders to apply it to the things that interest us. And that's what we've been doing here on this channel regarding even sporting events such as this recent Super Bowl. So we had this exoteric event of the recent Super Bowl back in February, Super Bowl 58. We had the 49ers against the Kansas City Chiefs. And in this event, it was a rematch of the Super Bowl that happened back in 2020. Following a month later after that Super Bowl, we had the C19 event. And it was the same outcome this time around. The Chiefs won this game and the 49ers lost. So the 49ers having this energy tied to them in this modern age. And it's very fascinating how around this event, we started to see many different 49 connections. Notably, immediately after this Super Bowl was over, Bitcoin hit 49,000. But one of the things to bring back up again, because we haven't talked about it in a couple months, was immediately after this Super Bowl happened, there was this really creepy tweet from the United States President, Joe, with him having laser eyes and a statement including a tweet saying, "Just like we drew it up." And the alt text of this image was Dark Brandon. By the way, this is legitimate. People thought that it was a spoof, but this is real. Anyways, what's even more interesting about this is what I just shared a moment ago, which is that this Super Bowl, 49ers lost. Bitcoin immediately hit 49,000 and then started to break out into the next leg up, 50K and so on. And this was all around leading up to Satoshi Nakamoto's 49th birthday. So it seems like this loss for the 49ers was a trigger for the next leg of the bull run. And we're going to tie this all in together, especially bringing up the last time the Chiefs and the 49ers played against each other in the Super Bowl, which was in February 2nd, 2020. But I'm bringing all of this up for a reason. And it's because if we utilize this number 49, this code, and we actually take from the highest daily close for Bitcoin, which was on March 13th, and we bring it over 49 days. As you can see here, we're going from the highest daily close on March 13th over to this day right here, 49 days later. And we had our lowest daily close so far in the microcycle. So from our highest daily close to our lowest, exactly 49 days. Note, somewhere in the middle of all of this was April 5th, which is Satoshi's 49th birthday. We're getting so much code, but I think this right here is clear. And I'm going to show you the significance, especially for this March 13th date, why they coded all of this to go hit a high on that date. So we have to go back to 2020. But I hope you guys are noticing already we have some fascinating code revealing itself to us. Okay, when we go back to 2020, I want you to keep this March 13th date in mind, because when we go back there, that was during the low of the C19 crash. That was the lowest we went. And you could see this wicked all the way down to $3,800, followed by a buyback after that date. Also, before this crash, the 49ers lost the Super Bowl against the same team, the Chiefs. This was all scripted. March 13th low, and then 4 years later, same teams play, same outcome. March 13th high. As above, so below. Or just like Uncle Joe wrote, or his handler wrote, just like we drew it up. This was scripted. The 49ers lost against the Chiefs in 2020. A month later, the market crashes into March 13th. Here we are 4 years later. The same teams face each other in the Super Bowl, and the outcome is the same. And a month later, the market pumps into March 13th, as above, so below. Now, we just had Satoshi's 49th birthday on April 5th, which is the mythological character behind this script of crypto. Well, if we take 49 days after that birthday and we bring it into the future, that will be May 24th or May 23rd if you wanted to include the end date, however you want to do it. Let's just consider May 23rd or May 24th. Regardless, this happens to be the upcoming full moon. And I want you guys to keep that in mind because the full moon in our microcycle tends to be our microcycle bottom. And I hope you understand what I mean by this. It's not me saying that we're going to take another leg lower. It's just me saying that around that time is typically when smart money would want to build long positions. And what we see is as we trade away from a full moon into a new moon, we're in a more bullish trajectory. When we are leaving a new moon, trading into a full moon, we see a more bearish trajectory. That's just the way it's been. And by the way, I have a lot of questions that come to me on a regular basis about this decoding stuff and how to use the astrology, how to use these lunar cycles, how to use the eclipses effectively in your investment thesis. And that is why very soon, I'm not sure if it'll be out by the end of this month, but I'm aiming for that. Potentially by early June, I'll have this crypto decoding blueprint coming out. It already has about 200 slides in the presentation. I'm aiming for about 15 different videos. So if you remember my exit strategy blueprint, it's going to be kind of like that. Just a little, compiled, jam-packed, gem-packed course, not really lengthy and arduous. It'll just be straight to the point, very, methodically designed so that you can go through it quickly and it'll expedite your process of going from perhaps beginner to intermediate and advanced in being able to decode specifically crypto. So a lot of people that come to this channel, they want to know how to decode, but they're mostly focused on crypto. And I have my crypto decoding blueprint coming out because of that. It will also be added onto my decoding mastermind course. So for anyone that has the decoding mastermind course already, you will be gifted this crypto decoding blueprint for free. Effectively, I'm adding it into your course for you. No further actions needed. I will update you when that comes out. I'm just doing my best to give you guys the most value possible. And then for those that aren't interested in that full-blown course and just want the crypto decoding blueprint on the side, don't worry, I will have that available. It will be incredibly affordable for how much value will be in it. So I'm really looking forward to release that. It will give you a lot of rhyme and reason to behind all the things that I'm talking about here on this channel. And I'm trying to make it beginner friendly as possible. So even if you know nothing about the astrology or the Gematria or mythology or any of that stuff, you will be able to walk away from this probably in just 2 or 3 days. More than intermediate, trust me. That's how much effort I put into simplifying things and just making it as utility based as possible. But let's get back to today's video. We're talking about 49 code tied to Satoshi Nakamoto's 49th birthday, which was on April 5th, 2024. And that is 49 days leading into this upcoming full moon. Powerful stuff because we see that this day of the full moon has a 72 double-digit date numerology, and that matches the Gematria of Bitcoin, 72. We're talking about Bitcoin right now. So you see how we're synchronizing things together. Now, this full moon that'll be coming up in lunar astrology will be in Sagittarius. So it's a full moon in Sagittarius, and we have the 144 code, which of course is 72 times 2. We're talking about the number 72 times 2. And this happens to be the 144th day of the year in the Gregorian system. So you see how synchronized this is. Full moon in Sag, 72 code tied to Bitcoin 72, 144th day of the year, Sagittarius and Gematria is 144. And we're not getting fancy here. We're just using one cipher, just basic English ordinal, ABC equals 1, 2, 3. Now, another crucial data point to tie into this is something I've brought up in previous videos regarding how scripted it was for Bitcoin to hit 73,000 on the exact date that it happened. Now, we need to just check in really quickly to this March 13th date that I spoke about earlier, where you can see Bitcoin closed at $73,100. Basically just kissed slightly above 73K. And what's fascinating about that is it's the only daily close Bitcoin has at 73K. And when we go to the March 13th date, you're going to see it was the 73rd day of the year. The only daily close Bitcoin had at 73K, which is currently our all-time high daily close, was on the 73rd day. You can't make this up. And for those that are new here, the number 73 is powerful. specifically to Bitcoin, because 73 is the 21st prime number, and this 21 code is directly tied into Bitcoin. As some of you are aware, there are 21 million Bitcoin in supply. 21 code right there. And the mythological creator of Bitcoin is Satoshi Nakamoto, who is Saturn, is 21 in multiple ciphers. We've been talking about this for years now. But for those that are new here, you're going to start to see how scripted and how coded this all is as this bull run progresses. Because, of course, when I made my channel last time, the bull run was pretty much already underway. And for those that were very, very like OG in my channel, that were around maybe, at the very, very early days, that was right when things were taking off. So a lot of code was developing in front of our eyes. This time around, we've got to watch multiple years go by leading up to this moment. And it's so fascinating to see how we had solar cycle start on April 20th, 2023. That kicked off all this amazing energy. We had the last lunar eclipse of the lunar cycle on November 9th of 2022, that being the absolute low of the cycle. It's just all of these things have been synchronized from, things that we've been teaching here so far in advance before the actual dates have arrived. So it's really cool to see how it's all going down. I'm not here to make predictions. I don't want to be that guy. That's not really what the aim here is of this channel. It's to just reveal to you all of these tools so that you can take these tools and apply them to your own investment thesis. And hopefully that can make you more prosperous, profitable, and navigate this bull run with clarity, and to be calm and to not be driven by emotions and fall for narratives, because you have the tools to be able to navigate all of this. So we were talking about this number 73, 73rd day of the year. Bitcoin hits 73,000. And we can even tie in sports back into this whole script again and bring up the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs, who won this year's Super Bowl 58, they also won the prior year's Super Bowl 57. And the total score between both of the teams was 73 points. So unbelievable how scripted this was, specifically because they played against the Eagles, and the eagle is symbolic of Mercury, Hermes, who is the god of fiat money created out of thin air. Mercury is the prince of the power of the air, and they lost in the same year, the Eagles, which is tied to Mercury, they lost in the same year FedNow went live, and leading into the expansion of the BRICS nations, and led into the Bitcoin ETF just being approved, where institutions are now playing the crypto game at a very high level. That entire Super Bowl was a ritual, just like this last one. And we talked about that last year as well, because I did a full decode on that last Super Bowl 57. I showed how there was so much symbolism specifically to the eagle, and also talking about Donald Trump and the 2017 year and the prior election, and tied into Q, which is the 17th letter in the alphabet, and this all coming back to the Eagles. And that was the year the Eagles won their first and only Super Bowl. It's insanely scripted. Again, giving this feeling of patriotism, and it all went to shambles after that in 2020, but I think some of you understand where I'm going with this. So let's get back on track here. I want to just talk about how if we take from this March 13th date when Bitcoin hit the 73K daily close on the 73rd day, if we take 73 days later, including the end date, that brings us to May 24th, which was the date that we were just talking about, 49 days after Satoshi's 49th birthday. So it's so incredibly synchronized, okay? This is making me feel, oh man, I forgot to point out the most obvious thing, which is it's a 73 double-digit date numerology. So how many connections is that? 73 double-digit date numerology tied to the 73rd day of the year, where Bitcoin hits 73K, and they're 73 days apart. See, this is not Waters Above's opinion. I'm just revealing the code to you guys. It's incredible. So remember, this date of May 24th also aligns with 49 days after Satoshi's 49th birthday on April 5th. So consider these dates of May 23rd and May 24th, or the full moon in Sagittarius, are only a week away from today. You must mark your calendars for this, because this is powerful stuff. And We should be prepared for some serious volatility. As I warned about in the last 2 Red Pill podcasts I released over on patreon.com/watersabove for the Mastermind community membership, where I focused on this date yesterday of April 15th, which we knew exoterically would be the CPI data for April releasing to the public, and to expect volatility due to this. And we got incredibly bullish move off of that, which a lot of people did not expect. But needless to say, the way that this market moved up yesterday was a little bit too fast, too soon, and that type of stuff typically leads to a fake out, but we'll get to that in a moment. Although when we check in on the month of May in most years, specifically in our recent timeline, past 5 years or so, the month of May regarding Bitcoin's performance, it's been a red month. So far, we've had our lowest push down on May 1st, which of course that counts. But so far, we've pushed up from this low all the way up to 66,000 as I record today's video. So that's been a $10,000 move in just a couple weeks, which was the same story in the other direction when we look at May 1st going backwards, maybe a week and a half. And I'm talking about this moment right here. We're just retesting the same area that we had a correction off of. It's starting to look like an inverse head and shoulders for those people that are into patterns. And of course, when we zoom out here, we have a bull flag forming. So we have a couple of bullish things happening simultaneously. We have a potential breakout of a macro bull flag and an inverse head and shoulders, which is much cleaner than prior versions or iterations of this particular pattern. And when you combine that with this daily close above the 55 simple moving average after this push down into the mid 50s, this is looking like a setup, but that is exactly what the market maker wants you to fall for, even for the people that are more savvy in TA like we are here. But I just want you to know that having a move like this yesterday was a little bit dramatic. It was. And considering the state of the economy holistically, it's just funny to me how all it takes is some data coming out for speculation to re-enter the market. But needless to say, we're still essentially ranging. We've been in the same horizontal trading range now for effectively 80 days, and it's likely to complete a full 3 months before entering true price discovery, which we aren't in just yet. So if I wanted to be fair and go off of this 28th of February candle to where we are right now, it's 78 days. A full 90 days would be taking us into the end of this month. That could be a full 3 months. And what we've seen in prior iterations of Bitcoin halving data is that typically 50 days before the halving and 50 days after is like a range of time where we have a little bit of sideways generally before we enter price discovery. And so far that's seeming to be the case as well, with the Bitcoin halving being somewhere on the 19th to 20th. If we go back 50 days, you're going to see it got us into this previous trading range. And if we go forward 50 days, that's bringing us to the very beginning of June. So 100 days total of being in this range makes it very similar to past bull run cycles. It's actually not much different. Now, last thing to mention about the dates is this upcoming date of May 19th. Something to bring up is that it has this 68 double-digit date numerology. That is the war code. It's been also 36 days since the April 13th drone strike from Iran on Israel. 36 is 3 sixes, 666. It's the number of man. It's the number of carbon, carbon-based life. And both April 13th, when I type that in, you're going to see it has a couple of things to reveal here that I just noticed prior to making this video. And if we look at what this day of the year is for both, we have 104th day and 262 days left in the year. Over here on May 19th, which is coming up this Sunday, we have the 140th day in the year and the 226th days left in the year. It makes them an anagram of each other, same numbers, just mixed up differently. And what's so wild about this is if you take this number 226 into consideration, as I just mentioned moments ago, and connect it to the day the war was declared in Israel, which was the 7th of October of last year, it equals 226 days apart. So we have another direct connection to war. And I'm not done yet. Speaking of the number 226, we can connect that to this Russia-Ukraine invasion, which happened on 2/24 of 2022. And you're going to see 2 years, 2 months, and 26 days. Another 226 code. You can't make this up. So I decided to look a little bit deeper into the 226 code, and that brought me to the periodic table, and that's radium, or esoterically it's Ra, the Egyptian sun god. Radium has an atomic mass of 226, as you could see here. It makes me think there could be some radioactive scare on May 19th that's coming up. It wouldn't shock me. Could very well be the case, but remember, it's obviously just fear porn by the apex predator. It's the same thing that was going on with, we had all this drama in the so-called truther community about the coronal mass ejections and solar flares that were going on last week when everyone was seeing the aurora borealis, the northern lights, and it ended up just being HARP. High Active Aurora Research Program was just super active that day. Like, people need to understand that this concept of like these planets and these luminaries are not what you think. If it's NASA that's informing you of it, it's probably make-believe. So I'm not going to go down that route right now. I know you guys appreciate some of this stuff, but like, yeah, anywho. Got to look a little deeper. Getting back to this radium Ra connection is big for this year, specifically because we're in the year of the dragon, and the mythology of the dragon is tied to the sun portal. And this number 226 that we're talking about could be revealing something significant for this year. And obviously, I just showed you multiple connections in our recent timeline, but if we take 2 times 2 times 6, you're going to see what we get. It's 24. And that is the number of our year 24. We're in the Hebrew year of 5,784, and that is adding up to 24 in numerology before reduction. We're in the year of the X, the 24, the great American eclipse that formed an X over the state of Texas. And this number 24 is the Jupiter symbol tied to Jupiter, one of the rulers of this age of Pisces, which we are leaving right now. We're moving into the Aquarian age. We're not there yet. We're in the transition timeline, but we're on our way. And this number is very powerful for this year. I've shown it many times, but getting back to this, when we connect back this date of May 19th to what we were just talking about, Chinese New Year of this year, and you don't include the end date, you're going to have that 99. And we were just talking a moment ago about Jupiter, how the logo or the symbol of Jupiter is the 24. Well, Jupiter is 99 in Gematria, right there. 99 days since entering this timeline. At this point, with this amount of connections, I'm sure there are plenty astrologers tuning in here that could look into the astro charts for May 19th into 20th and see exactly what I'm seeing. This date sounds like it's going to be spicy, but overall, I'm keeping my focus on this upcoming full moon that we've been talking about, the 23rd to 24th. Seems very powerful. For me, I'm always looking at 5 days before up to 5 days after as this kind of like period of time around a full moon. I've been teaching this for years, and that would be somewhere between May 19th and essentially the end of May, like May 29th and May 30th. And based on some energetics I've looked into, the first couple days of June can be unfavorable as well. So let's get into the charts, kind of wrap up today's video. We want to look at this daily analysis and talk what I was about, just recap what I was mentioning a little bit earlier about this big jump up in price where we punctured this 55 simple moving average and closed the daily above it. And effectively, this entire candle close was green. Almost no wick to the upside or no tail to the downside. It was very algorithmic. Needless to say, we haven't been over the 55 simple moving average since we closed below it back on April 13th. Effectively a little over a month ago. Now, when we do such a thing, we start to see our other key moving averages coiling up, and then once they go back into a bullish posture, that's when we typically see recovery. So that's after a closure above the 55. And what we're seeing right now is the 8, 13, 21, and 34 exponential moving average have flatlined, and now they're sloping to the upside slightly. So that's a sign that like we've been in very low volatility lately, And I would assume if I was to turn on the Bollinger Bands, we've gotten pretty tight. And yep, that's the truth. We even closed yesterday above the top side Bollinger Band. Now we're getting a little bit of a rejection today, which is kind of anticipated since it was too bullish, but we are very much in the final moments of this, right? And it's on time with what we've been talking about for a while now. So when we zoom out and see the last time something like this went down, it kind of reminds me of over here. This is a very similar timeline. So we had a solar eclipse right here. We had a correction below this white moving average. We came back into this 55 simple, got a rejection. And then right over here, you see how we traded to the downside, getting very close to the 200s. Well, after that, we had this final kind of dip to the lows. And if we take the amount of time from the high to the low, I think it's going to synchronize pretty nicely. So we have 62 days. If we were to go from our current high over 62 days, that's like today. All right. So we made this move a little bit faster, but the reason I'm bringing this up comes back to some analysis that I've shared in the past about Mercury retrograde. And although we're through that right now, we were warning about that for like a month before it even happened, and how it's likely to go when Mercury stationed retrograde in eclipse season. And it's exactly how it went down. The idea here was that to anticipate a low pushing past this solar eclipse and then recovery into the end of Mercury retrograde, similar to where we started, but after Mercury retrograde to get another dip to the downside. That's what happened back here. We have Mercury station retrograde, a little fake out to the upside, but look at this, dip to the downside, amazing buying opportunity. Same thing here. We had Mercury retrograde, we were effectively sideways, dip to the downside after, followed by recovery. Same thing happened here too. So there was a pattern, and that's what I wanted to help everyone with, to see that pattern and just have basic astrology to prove it. But now, yeah, we're kind of in these final moments where we're looking like Bitcoin wants to recover. And by the way, when Bitcoin makes its next recovery, getting back above 70,000, I do believe that we're going to see Bitcoin dominance rage to the upside. So today could effectively be another high for Bitcoin dominance, the highest we've seen in, just look at it, okay? The highest we've seen since 2021. This isn't an uptrend, all right? This is why altcoins are looking like shit right now, and Bitcoin is kind of just stable after a big pump yesterday, and we're still seeing ETH near lows in its microcycle, while Bitcoin is back in the middle of its range in the microcycle. Sorry if this is a little bit messy, but I think you get the point of what I'm saying here. Now, where we're at right now, I think it's important to just bring up this chart that I've created. It's been very helpful to look at this in a horizontal trading range and see where all of our resistance points are. And this dotted line I had was at this 618, or the bottom of the golden pocket, which is very funny that it's at 66,666 effectively. But yeah, just keep this in mind, because getting rejected here and the daily close we had yesterday is still lower highs. So we're in a downtrend effectively still. I mean, in the micro. Obviously in the macro, we're in a bull run. Everything's fine. It's just another day in the matrix. But my point here is that this big jump up was too fast, too soon. And if we were to close back below the 55 simple today or soon, then I do effectively count this as a fake out pump. This liquidated a ton of people, probably in some sort of a short squeeze. And now all the people that have been FOMOing in over the past 24 hours, the market maker wants to liquidate them as well into the upcoming full moon. But I want to end off this analysis by talking about, I don't necessarily think in the month of May that we're going to be going lower than this current low. This is likely to be our lowest we get. Of course, there's miracles possible, but we've been long enough in this trading range. Like, even I admit that. We've been in it long enough now to the point where recovery is around the corner. And if the stock market wants to keep raging into new all-time highs, then that gives a lot of room between now and the upcoming FOMC meeting that will be like the middle of June. I think it's like June 11th. I might be wrong about that, but it's somewhere around there. What matters most is July and August are incredibly bullish months during election years. I opened up today's video talking about that. So if we can push into mid-June and get above 70K in that time, yeah, I mean, I think that's when recovery will be obvious. But in the meantime, everything between now and the upcoming May full moon, just anything near 60K again is an insane buying opportunity, for the altcoins. So I would take advantage of that stuff personally. I'm not telling you what to do, but that's definitely the way I would be playing this. And in that whole move, Bitcoin dominance can still be going up. So just keep that in mind. Altcoins still have so much opportunity right now. It's a big, like, I'm optimistic. If some of you might have been thinking that I'm sounding pessimistic, don't. I'm really optimistic. All of 2024, I'm feeling really good on Bitcoin, and that means I'm feeling good on altcoins and the crypto market as a whole. That's why I'm really excited to release this decoding, crypto decoding blueprint at the time that I am, because it still gives us so much more time to utilize that and to put that into practice. But let's look at ETH really quickly. Not too much to say on this because we're just still back in the same horizontal trading range at the low for the past 30 days. My last YouTube video is still effectively the same analysis for this, so I don't have to talk about it much more. But just keep in mind that if we continue to get a daily close lower than 2,800, I mean, that would be around here, like somewhere in this range. I do think we would slide a little bit deeper. So keep this 200 exponential moving average in mind. You could pull that up on your chart. It's 2,800 on the nose. Incredible opportunity on ETH. I'm not telling anyone to buy ETH though. There might be a lot more opportunity in other altcoins, but for those of you that are very in speculative stuff like big venture capital bags, balance yourself out. Some words of wisdom from Chief Wolf. Like, going 90% in some meme coin is cool and all, but it's gonna be tough to sleep at night. Getting over to XRP, not too much of an update here too, because we're still in the same situation as Ethereum. We're just chopping in the same range at the lows for 30 days now. So all this is buying up for XRP. But again, remember, for those that are in the XRP army and they've committed their whole life to this project, don't be stupid this cycle. Please diversify. Get invested in some other stuff. You know, there's nothing wrong with getting maybe some HBAR, Algorand, IOTA, but venture out, all right? Like, this is not the cycle to be all in on this particular project just based off of some theory that you have, all right? There's no room for that in truth and in reality. Must be diversified. So for me, for instance, it's my second biggest position. So I'm not trying to FUD you out of this. It's literally neck and neck with my first biggest position, but I'm still playing smart. I accumulated most of my XRP already. Now I am balancing out my portfolio with some other sectors, with some other interesting stuff that is likely to do very well regardless of what happens with anything going on with regulation and issues with the SEC and BRICS and all of this stuff, you know, CBDCs. I've positioned myself effectively in a percentage breakdown so that whatever happens, I'm good in the hood and I still have my XRP bags, but I don't want people to be so gung-ho focused on this right now if you're already overexposed. Probably a lot of people that are in the XRP community are overexposed and they're feeling that now based on the performance of a lot of other altcoins versus this one. And I gotta admit, nobody actually knows when this case will be over. And if that's all this is banking on is for this case to be up, well, then that makes your investment thesis even more weak. All right, you got to diversify and you got to position yourself effectively. I'm not trying to FUD anyone out. I'm just speaking the truth. So we're at this lower range now. We can't be throwing a party until XRP at least breaks above 72 cents again on a weekly close. And in the meantime, everything around this 50-cent level is buying up. I'm going to wrap up today's video here. Let's see how the next couple days go. We have this upcoming Sunday date that I've given a shout out to, which is very fascinating. I would love to know some of your thoughts on this if anybody has any intel. But this upcoming full moon is really, really what I'm putting emphasis on. So I'll be updating you guys very soon. I have next week's Red Pill podcast coming out this Sunday. The last couple Red Pill podcasts I've released were packed full of gnosis. I even did a full special on what I'm investing in, talking about over 20 different charts. So you could check that out if you have a membership there. And I appreciate all of your support. I'm wishing you all a beautiful rest of your day in the Matrix. Much love.